Today is National POW MIA Recognition Day. Fort Novosel took the morning doing exactly that, recognizing lives risked at war. News 4's Lily O'Brien has a story.
General Major Claire Gill's grandfather spent years in German captivity. News was like oxygen to his grandfather, who was hoping for rescue. The Department of Defense reports over 80,000 Americans remain missing since World War II, some of them coming from Alabama.
I want to share with you the story of a former POW during World War II, Colonel Jerry Sage, who lived right here in Enterprise, Alabama.
Colonel Sage served alongside Major General Gill's grandfather in World War II. In his memoir, Sage gave insight into what it was like being a prisoner of war.
He said, and I quote, "Home.
What a wonderful word.
It's not happenstance that we greet you with a welcome home when you come through that gate every single day."
Prisoners of war and soldiers missing in action don't always have the same privilege to return home. For the nation, Major General Gill has the message, never forget.
We will never forget them, and we will never stop trying to find them and bring them home.
While today's ceremony focused on POWs and MIAs in World War II, every service member missing or held captive was honored for their service. Even while thousands of miles away, their family the military will never stop trying to bring home. In Fort Novosel, I'm Lily O'Brien, your hometown news leader.
It's so important to remember these lives and honor this